if you don't even know who you are, how are you supposed to design a life that fits you? In this video, we're going to be talking about how to get to know yourself and how to get into alignment with the life in which you envision for yourself. Now, I have to be real with you. If you want to know yourself and be in alignment, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to break down the illusions that you built around yourself, that you built around your life. In my early 20s, at one point, I was high every single day and I would use it to numb out. I just didn't want to deal with my emotions. I didn't want to deal with the thoughts that were in my mind. So it was just easier to just mute everything. And that's what smoking would do for me. I did that for so long. There was one time I looked in the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself. There was no spark in my eyes. There was so much time that had been wasted. I had no idea what I had done for 3 years after dropping out of university. The younger version of myself would not recognize who I was as an adult. I was vibrant and I was full of life. And this version of myself that I had developed into was none of that. Fast forward to now, I'm 26 years old. I'm on YouTube. I did my data science degree program and now I'm going back to school in the winter. I wouldn't have made those steps if I didn't understand my identity and where I wanted to go and how I was going to get myself in alignment. In this video, we're going to break down the 5 steps that actually helps me figure out who I really was, not who I should have been, not who I was told to have been, but who I am. Step 1 would definitely be to learn your triggers and your preferences and use that as data. For a long time, I just felt like there was something wrong with me, that I was emotionally unstable. I probably was emotionally unstable. I'm not going to deny that one. But I don't think I knew how to regulate my emotions. And so I would tend to lash out at people. I needed to figure out what were the things that were pushing me to be angry, that were pushing me to be resentful, but then also things that were pushing me to be joyful, what would put me in different moods. I actually have a list on my phone for this as well so that I can keep track. Let me try find it. It's called The Diary of Brunel. My triggers that make me feel joyful are laughing. I love to laugh. That's like my favorite thing in the whole world. Going for strolls in the park. I love walking in beautiful parks. A trigger for when I feel drained is going out 2 days in a row. I can't do it. I get triggered when I feel dismissed or when I feel like someone is trying to make me feel stupid. Those were the triggers that I figured out about myself. I think with triggers, people tend to think it's just everything that's negative, but it's also things that are positive so that you can put yourself back into a happier state. The triggers are the core of who you are. It's very important to pay attention to these things. Step number 2 would be being brutally honest about your goals. You're gonna have these big, ambitious goals, and I don't want to discourage you from thinking big, but I do want to be honest with you about that timeline. For the longest time, I've been saying, I want to relocate. I want to relocate to another country. And I wanted to relocate by the time I think I was 25. 25 done came and left. And I was nowhere near that goal because I hadn't been positioning myself to be able to relocate to another country. I just feel like now I have to be completely honest with when I feel like I'll be able to relocate, how I would be able to relocate, and whilst things aren't going to go perfectly, I can try and position myself as close as possible so that that is more likely to happen than not, because people have done it. It's just about how I'm being realistic in this time frame about what I want for myself and how I'm going to bridge that gap. How honest are you going to be with yourself about how long these things actually take to get? How honest are you going to be with yourself about the work that's required to even get what it is that you want? Now, number 3 is definitely a trap I've fallen into time and time again, is building a routine based on what your favorite content creator is telling you to do as opposed to what actually works for you. I realized that I can't do the same thing that someone who doesn't struggle with ADHD does. I know that because I have ADHD, I have to make sure I do certain things at certain times of the day because I know if I don't do it, it's not going to get done and it will keep not getting done. Number 4 would be to reconnect with the things you did as a child to get you into that flow state. The things that you loved as a child typically reveal how you naturally engage with the world, but usually the deeper clue is in the activity itself. I loved to write as a child, so I thought that as an adult that meant that maybe I'm meant to be a writer, maybe I'm meant to quit everything I'm doing and I'm meant to be Carrie Bradshaw in real time. But something I had to realize is I don't actually want to be a writer. I want to be creative. It made me realize that I'm someone who likes to understand things deeply. I like storytelling or creating memorable experiences. The activity that you're doing is often the surface level. It's kind of just like the symptom, but the actual motivation behind it is the real signal. And that's something in which you should pay attention to when you're going back to the things in which you love to do as a child. The final step to figuring out who you are and getting yourself into alignment with the life that you want would be to do a daily audit of your inputs? What do you gravitate towards listening to? You don't have any obligations. What do you tend to do in those moments? They often reveal a lot of things about yourself that you probably missed. So on UK TikTok, we have something that's called plantain conversations. A lot of conversations engage with these very surface level conversations, and I've just never really gotten into it. The type of things that I would watch on TikToks would be about like your mental health, or it would be about psychology, and I thought for a long time that I was just really weird. But after looking deeper, I understood that I'm drawn to psychology because I'm fascinated by understanding people, and one of my favorite things to do is to listen to other people's stories. So it kind of made sense, and I see that with every area of my life. Everything in which I do, from like the prints I use to put the pictures on my wall to what I decide what I'm going to do to my hair, everything is intentional. It's never just because of a simple reason. This exercise isn't about asking yourself, what do I consume? It's about asking yourself, what do I pay attention to? Because it's hard to fake attention. Attention is one of those things that is difficult to fake. You're either interested or you're not. It gives you clues about who you are, and that will allow you to be in a lot more alignment than when you first started. We spoke about a lot of things to do with discovering who you are, and I hope you noticed that the theme behind everything in which I told you to do was about drawing inwards. It wasn't about looking outside and trying to find something that was going to give you motivation and get you pumped up. It's like when you're in a relationship and your partner is having an off day, but they didn't even have to say they're having an off day. You can tell by their energy, you can tell by their mood, but that's only because you know this person. And that has to be the same thing about yourself. Do you know yourself deep enough to feel like, yeah, I understand that something's not right and I'm going to sit down with myself and figure it out. If you like this video, you're going to love my Substack. I'm going to link it down in the description box below. And I definitely will see you guys in my next video. Bye.